there, I'm Kim Christmas, and this morning we're going to be looking at some beginner techniques for a cherry nice day. This piece I painted on a flat panel canvas, and you can get these anywhere. You can get them at paint supply shops or even at the dollar store. That's where I got mine. But today we're going to paint this little wooden tag here, which would make a really cute little gift or attachment to a bouquet of flowers or something for your neighbor. That'd be really cute. So this piece I painted with one coat of chalky finish paint. This is vintage. It's one of my favorite colors. And you just use a flat wash brush and follow the grain of the wood. And I only painted one coat, and then I used a very fine grain sandpaper to just sand it very lightly, following the grain of the wood. And I'm going to leave it this way actually. I wiped it clean with a piece of paper towel, and you can see that some of my raw edges are showing here, and I think that that looks really cute. So on this piece you can see a little bit of color modeling. We don't just have one flat color, you can see the difference right there. And so this coloring here is what we're going to apply to start with. And to do that, I'm going to use a medium seawool sponge. And I have another sponge here. This one is a very tight, dense sponge. You can see the difference between the two. And this is too tight. This will give you a very splotchy, tight look in your sponging process. So with your sponge, and I'm just going to show you the difference between the two. You would moisten your sponge with water and then dip it in the paint and swirl around to load your sponge. Now when you sponge, you can see that's way too tight for what we want to do. We just want a little bit of color modeling. This is the medium seawool sponge, and we're going to load this one with a little bit of water and paint, and you can see already the difference. It's very loose, and that's what we want. So first thing I want to do to make my paint model nicely is just apply a little bit of moisture to the surface. And then with my already loaded sponge, you saw how I did that, we're just going to take the paint and sponge the front of the tag. So we've got our first color laid down, and we used turquoise blue from DecoArt, and DecoArt makes some of the best color selections you'll find anywhere. That's DecoArt, they just do that. So the next color that we want to put on top of this one is just a little hint of pink here and there. It just makes it really cute. And we're going to use boysenberry pink, one of my favorite colors, to do that. So with your piece, it should still be moist on the surface, and that's okay if it's not. Just tap a little bit more water on there. And load your sponge the same way you did with the blue, with a little swirly action. Just a touch of color, and then sponge the pink on top of the blue. If you have a little bit too much, you can use the back side of your sponge and just sponge out any dark spots that you don't want there. But I need a little bit more color on mine, so. And it's so easy to fix if you put too much color on. So don't panic, don't worry about it. Just use the back of your sponge to mop up. There. So we're ready for the next step. We're going to let that dry, and I'm going to show you what to do next. So my next step that I want to take on my piece is to add some tints. using the same colors that I used before, but what we're doing is we're basically layering from the bottom up and just creating a nice backdrop for our painting. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So here is where I want to apply some of my color, and it's just going to frame the piece and make it look really cute and pull the blue out from the inside that we had sponged earlier. And to do that, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch angular shader. You can use a flat shader too. It does the same thing. And you're going to load your brush with water and then just blot, and then using the blue, tip the point edge of your brush into the paint just a little bit, and then use a back and forth motion on your palette just to blend the water and the paint together. If it's too wet, blot on your paper towel and continue. And what you're looking for is a gradual line of color that's not too wet and not too dark. So you're going to look for a deeper color on the outside edge and graduating into nothingness on this side. And that's where you're going to make your stroke, using that amount of color in your brush. So place your brush onto the piece and just apply the paint to the side edge of your little tag here. And if you find that it's dragging a little bit, then you can just add a little bit more water and blot and just apply into the corners. Apply more paint as you need it. And don't try to outline your project. That's not the aim here. We just want to add a little bit of color interest and some depth to the piece. So usually we'll take a dark color and add the color into recess areas or shadow areas. There. And this just frames the piece and makes it look really cute and finished. And you can use your clean brush just to wipe up some of the line areas. If you have any residue showing that you don't like, you can just take it off with your clean brush bristles. So on this piece here, you can see we have little tints. You can barely see them of pink, and I'm going to use my boysenberry pink again, and this is going to make the pink that we sponged in the center really stand out again. So using your palette and your brush again, load with water and then with paint and blend back and forth. Keep the side edge of your brush clean. You can just pinch it with your fingers a little bit. And again, you're looking for that graduation of color from one side to the next. So it's deeper on this side and tapers off into nothingness on the opposite side. And when you apply here, we're just going to put little tints along the side, and you can use your brush to pull that color out into the center just a little bit more, just so it's not stuck on that edge. And you don't have to worry about perfection, because the color modeling that we applied earlier with the sponge kind of hides that a little bit. And again, just lay your color on the side and just pull a little bit out into the center. And if that's too bright, that looks a little too bright to me, you can just add some water to your brush and pull that color, weaken it a little bit and pull it into that center area. There. A little bit on the bottom would be cute. maybe a little bit along the top. And just back and forth. You don't have a lot of paint in your brush, so you can work it in a little bit. So on this piece you can see we have some little checks, and those are really simple to make. We're just going to use a number 2 chisel blender, and I don't know if you can see that or not, it's just a square chunky little flat, and those make really good little squares, and that's what we're going to use. So we're just going to use a little bit of white paint. Just load your brush and just blend just a little bit to load the bristles up with some white paint. And you can start anywhere you want really, and just start from the outer edge. If you want to mark it with a pencil first so that they're all even, you can do that. And just pull from the outside edge in and just evenly space them. And it just makes a really cute little border for our painting. And if you have too much paint on your brush, you can just mop it off with a clean paper towel. And start again. There. Now we're ready to apply our design and paint some tree branches and cherries. Join me in my next video clip and see how we do that.